Hello, dear students. How are you doing this week? I hope that everything is going well. Welcome to the week number 6. This is the video about have to and need to. This is the second part of the video of the last week. Okay, so we are going to be talking about have to and need to. Let's start with have to. Have to in Spanish means tener que, and it's like an obligation. Es como una obligación. So you are going to be using this verb have to talk about obligations, okay? So let's start. Remember, we are going to be using a subject, have to, the verb, and the complement when we have a positive or affirmative sentence, okay? Then we have some examples. I have to read every day. So if you can see, have to, it is used like an obligation, okay? Like an obligation that you have to do every day. I have to do homework. When you say this expression, I have to do homework, it's because it's an obligation. Let's continue. Have to in negative sense, it's the same, but remember that we are going to be using an auxiliary. The auxiliary do, doesn't, and don't in this case. So subject, doesn't, don't, have to, plus the verb and the complement. Let's remember that we are going to be using don't when we have I, you, we, and they. And we are going to be using doesn't when we have he, she, and it. Some examples are this. I don't have to read every day. So when you use an obligation but in negative, it's because you are not obligated to do it. Cuando ustedes utilizan este have to, pero en negativo, es porque no están obligados a hacer algo. For example, I don't have to read every day. Yo no tengo que leer cada día. Okay? So, the second example says, she doesn't have to do homework. The same, it's not an obligation. She doesn't have to do homework. Great, let's continue. When we want to ask, remember that first of all, we are going to be using the auxiliary. So, do or does plus the subject plus have to plus verb plus complement and a question mark. And we are going to be using the questions to ask for obligations. For example, do I have to read every day? So you are going to ask if you have to do something or if you have the obligation to do something. Does she have to do homework? The same. To answer is the same thing that we have been studying. So the answers are this. Do you have to read every day? Yes, I do, in this case. But if we want to say that it's a negative answer, we are going to answer with no, she does not, or no, she doesn't. Remember, the difference between does not and doesn't is that does not is more formal than doesn't. Let's continue. Right now we are going to be talking about need to. Need to, it's a verb that is used to talk about necessity, and it means necesitar. Very good. So, in a positive or affirmative sentence, we are going to be having the subject plus need to plus the verb and the complement. Let's see the example. I need to read every day. So, in this case, the person is talking about a necessity, something that a person needs. En este caso, una persona está hablando de una necesidad, algo que realmente necesita. Miremos el ejemplo. I need to read every day. Necesito leer cada día. Es una necesidad. Okay? So remember that we are going to be talking about need to when we talk about necessities. I need to do homework. It's a necessity. When we have a negative sentence, remember that we use the auxiliary do, in this case, doesn't and don't. So subject plus doesn't and don't plus need to plus verb plus complement. Let's see some examples. Remember, I, you, we, they, we don't, he, she, it, we doesn't. I don't need to read every day. So when we have negative sentences with need to, it's because we don't have that necessity. Es porque no tenemos una necesidad. We don't need to read every day. Okay? There's no necessity. She doesn't need to do homework. Let's continue. When we want to ask, remember that we are going to be using the auxiliaries do and does, plus the subject, plus need to, plus the verb complement and a question mark. And it is used when we want to ask for necessities. For example, do we need to read every day? Does he need to do homework? Yes, we do, to answer in an affirmative way, or no, he doesn't or he does not when we answer in a negative way. Very good. Let's remember the WH questions. Remember that we have the yes/no questions and the WH questions. When we have the WH questions, first we are going to be using the WH question like how, what, where, when, who, why, how often, etc. And then we have the auxiliary, subject, need to or have to, verb, plus the complement and the question mark. And they ask us for information. So if we are asking with where, remember that we have to answer with a place. Let's see this part. Where does he need to do homework? He needs to do homework in his house or at the library. Okay, let's continue. When does he need to do homework? In this case, we are asking with when. So remember that we are talking about a moment. Okay, so when does he need to do homework? He needs to do homework on Sundays. Very good. Before we end, never forget to put the DS to the verbs when we have he, she, and it. This is the little review about the topic of the last week and the topic of this week. So remember that we have like and we have want. In this case, we have need to and have to. Let's see. What do you need to buy? Do you need to buy new shoes? Yes, I do. I need to get some sneakers. What does Henry have to wear to work? Does he have to wear a suit? Yes, he does. He has to wear a suit and tie. So, I want you to see this part. Has. Why has? Okay, we are going to be explaining that part. So please remember this part. The verb have to, it's a verb that is irregular. Okay? So it means that it's going to change a lot when we have it in the present simple for he, she, and it. Remember, how easy it is irregular, you have to take into account this part. We are going to conjugate it in this way. He has to, she has to, and we has to. But if we have a negative sentence, remember, in a negative way, We are going to be using, I'm sorry, this is it. Okay. In a negative way, we are going to be using the auxiliary, right? And if we use the auxiliary, we don't have to use any more has to, but have to. Because remember that this S represents this part. Remember that the doesn't has already the S of the have to. Okay? Very good, students. So I hope that you understood. If you have any questions, don't forget that we are going to be checking this topic on Thursday at 9 a.m. Bye-bye.